Alright, I guess I'll do a response video to a couple of videos. Broken Mech. I'll post that one to the antinatalism list. He's asking the same old question again, or posing this dilemma that somehow there's a logical disconnect or a contradiction because we're dealing with what could be, or should be, or would be, or will be. And I'll argue that it's not that complicated if you really think about it. Rights are an extension of responsibilities, right? There's no right without a responsibility. So I'm going to argue the responsibility comes first. That defines the right, essentially. Is the need for some responsible action. Is the same thing as a right. But anyway, regardless, the point is the will-be's have rights. They will be. So they are, in a sense, almost have equal rights to the are-nows. Okay? There's really no distinction between somebody who is now and somebody who will be. It's almost a guarantee that the will-be's will be. That's why we call them will-be's, is because we're really sure they're going to be. Now, the would-have-beens, they don't have any rights. Because we basically said they're not going to be. Okay? They're just not. The could-have-beens, well, they're sort of in the same place, right? Now, the might-be's are sort of in this weird kind of, that's who we're arguing about, is the could-be's and the might-be's, all right? And that's where this gets fuzzy, because we're going to decide which ones will be and which will not be. So that's where the right equation gets a little complicated. It's because we don't know exactly who will be. And that's sort of what we're debating, is who will be. Because depending on how people behave, there will be a different definition of who will be. But I don't think there can be any rational argument about the fact that a will be, somebody we're damn sure is going to be, it has the same rights as somebody who does exist. You can't enslave them, you can't steal all their money, you can't contract for their murder. All of that stuff would still be wrong. Even though they don't yet exist, we know they will exist, therefore they have rights. They will need oxygen to breathe, they will need an environment that's suitable to live in, blah, 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 blah. The future has rights. It's just not hard to understand. They will be, and the fact that they will be creates an equal sign, in a sense, to current individuals. Now the question is, where it becomes obvious, is that when they're in that might-be state, they're indestructible, while they're still a might-be. You can't hurt them, okay? And you can't really deprive them. So this is where it becomes kind of obvious that to deprive somebody of the opportunity to become deprivated and satisfied, that they have to be a will-be, to be deprivated and then gain satisfaction of their deprivation. So you first have to essentially create the negative state before you can create the positive state. And they aren't in the negative state when they're a maybe. Now, also, the people who are maybes aren't in pain now. But if you make them will-be's, the pain will be a will-be. It will be something that's endured, the suffering. And so this is the balance. The equation isn't that complicated. Do you sacrifice... let's call it food. This would be the analogy I'll use. So let's say it's food. Now, if you give food to somebody who's not hungry, okay, you can't deprive somebody who's not hungry of food. So somebody, the could-be's, aren't sitting there somewhere saying, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. So essentially what you're offering has no value to them, because they have nothing, they have no desire to eat until you make them a is. Well, like I said, this still goes for the alternative argument, but the point is that the could-be's, the suffering, is something that's like overfeeding. That's like taking somebody who's full and doesn't want to eat and forcing food into their mouth. So the will-bees who are not favorable to the life equation are going to be force-fed. So you can create hunger in some other party so that they'll want to eat. And so to me, that's what makes the logic sort of obvious, is that there's always this other step that has to take place for you to create your happy individual. You first have to create a deprivation in them where they can have that illusion of happiness. And that's the basic equation. They can't want when they're non-existent, and there's no opportunity for harm. And the harm is the real value here. Again, if you were forced to commoditize your life experience, you don't sit there missing the experiences you haven't had, essentially. I mean, I don't miss the fact that I never went to Bangladesh and ate a kuka nankank on Gugur Street. Okay? I mean, I'm just not missing the experience. Now, I don't feel any deprivation for this non-event that I didn't have. Now, I would certainly recognize gratitude if I was prevented from getting run over by a car. That value would be so obvious that that's a great benefit that I missed that experience. So, I mean, it just seems obvious to me that it's only an illusion that makes you think you need these life experiences, because there's a zillion life experiences you're not having that you're not missing. But you're certainly grateful for all the ones that are horrible and nasty that you're being relieved of. Those you certainly can say, I'm damn glad I don't get cancer right now. I'm damn glad I'm not puking through my eye sockets. I mean, you can be grateful for all the horrors that you're not enduring quite easily. And it's quite difficult to say, oh, I'm terribly, 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 terribly deprivated because I'm not doing some silly thing I don't really want to do anyway. Yeah. But anyway, just call them will-bees, okay? It's the will-bees have an interest. And we're just deciding who will be, right? That's what this is about, is who's going to be and what kind of life they're going to be subjected to. And whether you have any right, again, to still impose, to force the players who don't want to play your game. And my argument will remain that as long as your game is as frivolous as a roller coaster ride or some other silly amusement, that you have no right to do it on the back of somebody who's not going to enjoy it. And you have no right to keep drawing these short straws until you're guaranteed to draw only long straws, until you can make everyone as dumb as you, and as much of a Borgite as you have no defense. I'd still say you were wrong even if you had the delusion. Even if all your children had your delusion, I'd say you were still wrong, just like I'd say Islam is wrong. That its indoctrination of its children is essentially a child abuse. There's no other description of it. That's what it is. It's a destructive, insidious indoctrination into a fucking idiotic fable. And you people have the same disease, the same sick condition. You can't look at anything realistically, and you're caught in a stupid, sick delusion where you way overemphasize the importance of your silly game victories and way underestimated the horrific cost of your putrid entertainment. So anyway, so great text. A couple people responded to the conference report video, Weak and Strong Natalism, which is probably here somewhere, but I don't know where the hell it is. Yeah, this thing isn't working perfect. I got a couple of bugs yet. If you post two videos really close together, it doesn't handle that right, so I got to fix that. But whatever. It works good enough for me for now, until I get time. And it's just this, Great Text keeps making the same argument that we don't know anything. And it's just such an insult to our intelligence. We're all supposed to sit around in some sort of default state. Yeah, that's what Schlock of God did. They keep talking about what the default should be. There's no such thing as a default. There is no such thing as a default conclusion All right, there's either the right answer or the wrong answer. All right, now you can make up something in between, but that's all you're doing is making up something in between. And something called the default, or what you're, the dumb response, is likely to be the wrong response. It's like the default religion. Why would you have a default? Oh, let's accept the default religion. No, that would be stupid, intrinsically wrong. And so again, I'm not going to go through the whole argument, but we know where we came from. We have dissected the system. We know what it's made of, how it got here, what game we're playing, that it's all a fucking delusion, and we shouldn't pay any price for this nonsense. It's purely just recreation, and if it comes at any cost, it's nonsense. It's idiotic. It's stupid. It's not just drunk driving. It's driving without a steering wheel, without brakes. It's incredibly reckless and insane. It's childish nonsense to sit there and exaggerate the value of your gratification, of your subjective, silly, completely contrived, and that's what they are. They're contrived addictions. That's another distinction here between suffering and satisfaction. 90% of your satisfaction comes through contrived addictions. Watching your team win the Super Bowl. Seeing somebody you hate get convicted of murder or some kind of bullshit like this. They're contrived out of your ego, out of your insecurities, out of your crap. Where the suffering is always genuine, always real. I mean, I'm not saying that some people don't have psychological suffering, and I would almost say, okay, if you want to write that off, you can. I mean, people who just want to get hysterical for no good reason, yeah, I mean, that's mitigatable. I mean, just change your attitude a little bit and that suffering goes away. Hard depression's a little trickier because it's just not a matter of mind over matter. You do have to have something to hold on to in life. And sometimes there's just nothing to grip because everything is just so disgustingly putrid. But we know there's other suffering, I mean, your gallbladder goes wrong or kidney stones or some other crap, and you can be in a horrible state of being, enduring a horrible state of consciousness. And that is real as real can be. Where the rest of this is just contrived crap. Your brain is just engineering your perception of value. You're seeing the cheese doodle, and your brain is making it attractive. It can make anything attractive, and it just happens to make the crap that you've chosen to value attractive. But that's all it is. It's just a perception in your brain, as frivolous as somebody getting hysterical because their fingernail broke. So it's just trivial and nonsensical. It's all a silly head game, and you're paying a preposterous price to play a silly head game. Yeah, so anyway, I don't want to go on forever. I will point out, Jay Sounder, I should remember his new name, Miserable, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, he makes a lot of videos, but I did catch a couple of them. I can't watch all of them because there's just too many. And he did have a gripe with Skid Row Radio, and I thought it was a legitimate gripe. And he made a forceful video about an AN litmus test. And, yeah, there is a truth here. I don't see any point either in lying to people, to playing the same game everybody's been playing for centuries, which is just cover the truth and hide this and hide that because you can't communicate with the human race in real terms. Well, if you can't, then it's almost like then it's just there's no point really, because it's a truth that's got to be understood. You've got to understand it. You don't want somebody believing it for a false reason. It's too serious a thing to do falsely. If you don't understand the logic, if you don't understand the circumstance, and you're just doing it because everybody else is doing it, well, that's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. And what else to say? I can understand being pragmatic to a point, but I don't see any point in doing it yet. And maybe if you're in the future we have to play the political game, well, yeah, then you do the 30-second commercial and scare everybody with some kind of horrible images or some other kind of crap. But I really just don't like that tactic, and I don't see any reason to go there yet. And especially I'd just be insulting. Here, we're supposed to be having a conversation. This is supposed to be apparently what intelligence looks like on the internet, right? I mean, it's supposed to come here, isn't it? I mean, if you had an intelligence and you wanted to say something, this is where you'd end up, right? You'd show up here somewhere, one would hope. This is what we get out of 7 billion people. It comes down to this crap. And if they can't take the truth, if the best of the human race can't take the truth, come on. It's just, there's no real point, is there? And, we should just argue for the mass production of as many nuclear weapons as possible if people are too stupid to even have a conversation. So, well, anyway, so on a lot of levels, I agree with his point, but I wouldn't be as hard on Skid Row Radio because he is a mushy sellout on every subject, right? He likes compromising. He's a diplomat or whatever. So that's his business. I don't see it as a real problem. I don't find his videos compelling. Too wishy-washy, mushy bullshit. But whatever, that's, it's just my opinion. So that's probably enough. I don't want to go on forever. Darwin's Hamster did do a video on the law and the little putsy, scurvy little apropos of lying snow. Did a response, on the ethics of the legal profession as related to the Bar Association and stuff, and to me, it's an inane question. It's a fucking union, okay? It's not an association, it's a union, and its intent is to control the distribution of the service so they can maximize their profit. It's all malicious, it has nothing to do with serving any public interest. There is nothing out there that's ensuring justice or preserving the Constitution, and all the lawyers will sell any part of it for a victory in a court case. They don't care about the truth, they just care about manipulating the system, and we've seen them do it. They perverted the jury system. Now they've constructed it so that they're going to profile everybody, and they're going to construct a jury that'll quit no matter what the evidence is. That it's all... Their motivation is not to play by the rules. Their motivation is to corrupt all the rules. And that's your industry. And in my opinion, you all suck. The whole legal profession, like I said, if I was in charge of we've had the revolution, we win the revolution, you'd all go down, okay? Because just like all the cops would go down. Because there is no such thing as a good cop. Because all the good cops know what the bad cops are doing, and they don't do anything to stop it. All the bad judges, if there's any good judges, a judge who's actually an honest human being in this country, they're watching what these bad judges are doing, and they're letting them get away with it. They're doing nothing to stop it, and they're the only people that can stop it. And they're doing nothing. So they should go down with that stinking, scurvy, rat-infested ship. Because they're just one of the rats, in my opinion. If you watch it, and you do nothing, and you just keep feeding the system, even though you know it's corrupt at its core, and you do nothing, then fuck you. So anyway, enough of a commentary. See, I can do that on my website, so that little bit of hate speech there. They can't stop me here. Anyway, so that's probably enough. I mean, that stupid little, whatever he is, Tranquil guy did some kind of video, just setting the record straight. Yeah, fuck you. You're just a game player. And his last video was some sort of religious hokey-pokey crap. Swami Doopy Dada says, don't eat any wooden pickles. I mean, it's just so fucking stupid. The guy's just a religious kook. God, nuts. Fucking everywhere. Anyway, I think that's probably enough. I was going to do a response to Great Texas Sleeping video that's in here somewhere, but it's just not worth the trouble. He's just a silly person on the internet. So I think that's all. I think that's enough. Until next time and such. What the fuck is that? Oh, it's the outside. The light came on. Yeah. Ooh, spooky. Probably a deer out there. Anyway, till next time.